Hello there, my name is James and welcome to Demo Disc-Ussion, where I talk about a certain demo's content, giving my own opinion on games in a short manner, and also sharing stories of nostalgic past. Now for today we're going to take another look at a different PlayStation UK magazine, that one being number 62, also known as number 35 in Australia. So it's got Spider-Man, it's got Rayman 2, genius script writing right there, let's check it out. Hello there menu screen, my word, you have so much chaos surrounding you that I'll just have to checklist all the great things you acquire. You got those beautiful aqua jello donuts that are mirroring each other, being brushed with waves. It's as if the black hole inside them is spitting out the waves of chlorine. It must be a cold ritual since there's goodness gracious blue balls on fire. They're circling around the donuts gracefully, probably summoning all the demons, demos and videos that'll fall upon us on the disc. And you know it must be a summoning since the music's techno vibe belongs in a 90s elevator, rising more and more, leading to this sick beat. Here we go, my friend, and what an exciting, embarrassing story I have to tell you as we go through this demo. Spider-Man 1 on the PS1 was made by the Tony Hawk creators Neversoft, and this is a childhood favourite of mine that I played on the PC. It was a comic book at extreme, and you can tell I was a big fan when I would express my nerdiness, seeing Venom, and then Doc Ock, this Daredevil dude who was in that Daredevil movie, this American guy, this Skull Bro, Red Venom, and yeah, I didn't really know who most of these villains were at all. And why was Black Cat blue? The real question of life. I gained my knowledge of all these characters from this game though, so it is good in that regard. So the demo sends us the first level of the game, Bank Heist, and it delivers. It doesn't start off with the cutscene beforehand, not even the visual of the camera panning away from the Fantastic Four building to the Spidey Boy, including the beloved Stan Lee's narration. I think that's okay though, since that was probably all to be added in later. So here we are on a building, and it's essentially a tutorial level to become accustomed to controlling Spider-Man. Blue question marks are about, they are expressed very simply, and this is where we get to my story. So, young James must have been very dumb when it came to playing this game because he did not know how to swing over this building. Or he did, but the fear of pressing the wrong button got the better of him. I might go with the latter because whilst I was a bit dumb, I wasn't that dumb, just oblivious to following certain instructions. I don't know how it flew past me because the control map is right here just before you enter the level, highly indicating how to swing. This blue question mark gets blue Black Cat to teach you to swing, and it's not all rocket science. But it all clicks into place when I say that I had a big fear in video games. There was getting caught in a stealthy game as well as intimidating enemies, but nothing was as dreading as a bottomless pit. In my rare PlayStation demo video, I mentioned how I couldn't cross a stupid bridge in Croc 2 because of not only the enemy on the other side, but the fear of falling into the spiky black abyss. And down below in Spider-Man is a yellow poisonous fog that leads to immediate death, and I don't think it helped with the scream he does as he falls. I probably played it once and failed and just refused to do that again. So now you know all about that, I welcome you to a mature adult James who is going to swing to that building. That felt satisfying and my life is complete. Moving further through the level, we can explore across all these different buildings which aren't all too captivating, but are great for being accustomed to playing as Spider-Dude, and I think for the time, this was a big thing to visualize and witness. Seeing all these blocky buildings, climbing over the walls and being able to look around this small compartmentalized section of a city must have been spectacular, and I can imagine that vibe. If we patrol around the middle ground area, we can enter combat, and whilst it can seem basic and chunky, it is still a blast to breeze through, especially with the web abilities such as the Dome Blaster, the Web Buff Fist, and the Yankee Doodle. There's also some simple punches and kicks that are cool to pull off in a 3-set combo. The music as the battle commences is the best part of it, and whilst it is a repetitive cycle that you wouldn't listen to for 3 minutes straight, it is a kinetic and kick-ass 4 bars that will get you pumped up in the blood. And after getting rid of all the enemies, you swing to this building that initiates a cutscene that leaves you hanging since the police are after Spider-Man. What did he do to tick them off? And then it ends. It would have been nice to get the next level of the game, but I do feel like this short and sweet taster is good enough for replayability. I know I'd be replaying it if I wasn't so scared of falling down into foggy doom. And then there's a lovely end card that of course expresses the 3D action, the abilities, and some popular villains you will encounter. Definitely pick this one up if you haven't tried it out, and as well as Enter Electro, even if that one seems a bit inferior. In the last demo disc, we took a look at the downloader, which is where you can put completed save files of specific games onto your beloved memory card. It's what I love to call fake bragging rights, and the selection on this platter is very rich and delicious for those who want to get ahead of their school friends. Spyro 2 gives you 99% completion, which I honestly believe wouldn't be too much of a difficult feat to accomplish by yourself unless Gulp is a bit too much of a challenge, so I definitely don't need that. Final Fantasy 7 and 8 are here, granting the advantage of playing the final disc, but why would you do that when you miss out on the story and character development that is the core of the series, if you excuse grindy turn-based combat? I guess it'd be to brag about how you slash the heck out of Sephiroth. Resident Evil 2 is a good one to have though, even though I think playing it once without the save would be best to do. Survive the first run, have fun with the rocket launcher and costumes for the second if the task of getting good grades is too much for you to do. And I can respect that. Some kids and adults would have had too much time dealing with grades for English and numeracy, not to forget taxes. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is on here, which is rather surprising since this game is rather rare nowadays. Heck, it was rare back then. So if you got it digitally now and you suck at it, then this might be the chance to bolt through, although I don't know what this file does since it's blank. And finally, Abe's Odyssey. I can understand if you can't get through it well, but that's honestly the challenge of the progression through the journey. If you skip to the final part, you'll be having a horrible time adjusting. So good luck. Honestly, those fake bragging rights contained here are quite alright, but since I filled up my card, I won't be needing them whatsoever. Can't wait to see what will be next in the download belt. Hello there, Rayman 2, it is rather lovely to see you, but my younger self would have been dreading the thought of playing you. Okay, what is it this time that surged fear into my veins? Well, it's a combo of intimidating enemies and falling into swampy water. Oh, and the Pirate King's theme song is goddamn intimidating to a full front. But hey, let's not jump that far ahead, let's go into details. So the title is very nice and thought-provoking with the moon in the background and Rayman looking up at the figure that is rather bizarre. But what's nice is that the demo expresses that it will reset automatically so you don't get scared of why your PS1 decided to reset. As soon as we press start, we are put right into the intimidation station as a cutscene for the Pirate King and his folly of Jolly Roger robots are present. I don't know what's more frightening though, the dreading music or the frame rate drops. I know I do that joke a lot, but I actually fear that it will just freeze altogether since I've experienced that happen in the past with my old demo copy. I do love all of this though, the King's voice acting is superb and he just has a cartoon-like quality that all these villains should obtain. He's threatening in his small design, he's funny but menacing, and he eats a lum right in your face. It might seem confusing knowing what's going on with the information given you if you haven't played it before, but Rayman is in trouble, that's all you need to know. So as you can see, we are in the swampy swamps, and I do think this was a rather obtuse level to choose if I'm honest. Mostly because it's not that fun to play. Visually and audibly it's engaging, with the drab and murky green textures, the sounds of the condensation and droopy forest amidst the atmosphere of insects and the presence that is foreboding, especially with the harmonica that creeps into mezzo forte. The guitar is also very reminiscent of one of the Police's more eerier tracks, Death Wish. You jump onto a moving platform, then this bomb shoots out the ship, you whack it, next moving platform. Jump on a fragile bridge, shoot a bomb or two, battle a pirate robot, then another moving platform. Whack the ghost witches that freaked me the hell out as a kid, more collapsing bridges, big falls, more moving platforms, then you're done. And I do think that the controls are rather dated for Rayman 2 on PS1 since I've been spoiled by the sequels and the remake of 2 on PS2. It's too clunky, the camera is a bishano to move in tight and open spaces, shooting at enemies isn't that great, and the jumping and simple movements is stressful. I think the earlier levels would have worked better for the game's favor, but I also believe that the game overall isn't as fun to play as the PC version and the remake. And when you make it to the end, you're given a fun little cutscene of the Pirate King planning out to take Rayman down in a pretty brutal manner, which is gutsy and excellent. Then it's to be continued with Rayman juggling lums and an eyeball monster in the background, who probably needs directions to Monster Incorporated. It's time for a video watching marathon, and we have an assortment of goodies and mediocrity. Starting off with X-Men, which is fully titled as X-Men Mutant Academy. It's a fighting game amongst the likes of Tekken, Virtua Fighter, and Tekken, and it's exactly what you expect, a flashy, quick-cutting montage of your favorite X-Men crew beating the crap out of each other in the most chaotic methods fashionable. The music has that speed and velocity to get you extremely pumped to kick Beast in the face, and whilst it's entertaining, I have experienced this game before as well as its sequel. It's a bunch of fun, but the content contained is a bit lacking since the story mode is rather obsolete. Still check it out though if you can. Revolt 2 was something I really wanted when I first saw this video, mainly due to having an extreme interest in RC cars. We used to have one that required that big old battery that'd go flat in an hour, and then there was another destroyed by douchebag friends in primary school who thought that driving it into deep dirt was a good idea. It wasn't. But Revolt 2 was exactly what I imagined for future RC cars to accomplish. Big tracks with amazing car designs, and pretty much a celebration of the remote control cars. And in this video, it's a big carnival of small cars containing a bouncy soundtrack and showcasing the wonky-tonky controls that remind me of Muppet Race Mania, especially the creative and spooky track on display. Don't know if it's held up, but hopefully a future demo disc will let me find out. Sydney 2000, now this was probably a big Y2K event if I let my imagination reflect on that time, but I do remember this being one of the bigger Olympic Games video games, more so than Mario and Sonic at the whatever that title is all about game. Now, for those sports fans, this ought to be engaging at the least, but to those that aren't, it's going to bore you a lot. Me personally, the game is an assortment of average nature, mini games that require button mashing, weird button prompts and timing. It's okay to play once with friends who must be really tired of their fun sports games. There's one thing in this video that I do have to compliment, and that is the main theme for Sydney 2000, the game. The acoustic guitar, the environmental sounds that flow through, and the mellow techno vibe just soothes you right into the atmosphere. No extreme action, no attempt at making the events epic, just here you go. Try it out with some friends if you can, it's pretty cheap nowadays, but definitely listen to the soundtrack. Malagia, I don't know how to pronounce this title properly, so forgive me on that part. With a name like that, it sounds rather fantastical, like another world for a JRPG. At least that's what I thought, but no, it's just a racing game set in the early days. It's a rather neat trailer for what I presume to be an average racer, but I will admit that the location of the Alps and mountainside Viennas is a nice little change, especially with the old school rocket cars. It meshes the FMV cutscene and gameplay very well together, although the work in progress racer heads do put me off a bit. What's neat is that they inserted the progress report and what to expect in the video as well of what is only just readable. For you Italy buffs and lovers of racing from 1927 to 57, you will probably dig it. Not much else to say, but bravo. And the final video is Infestation, and if I'm honest, this trailer has made me all kinds of lethargic. It has an interesting concept, and I adore anything that has big mech bugs and stargates with rolling rock physics, but the music here is just repetitive to the point where the content of the game just drones on for ages, and it doesn't help that this section right here just keeps going on and on. It's very boring. There's not much else to say about it other than that B-letter word, so we might as well press on to some more games. And whoop-de-doo, Basil Brush, we have Capitalism, the theme park kart racer, also known as Disney Magical Racing Tour, also known as Walt Disney World Quest Magical Racing Tour. Who the hell decided to name it like that? Jesus. Believe it or not, young James played this demo the most out of anything on this disc, mainly because it didn't intimidate him. But I can say now, the Foggy Abyss and Swampy Swamps aren't as fearing than Chip and Dale right here on the menu screen. especially Dale's vampiric buck teeth that are freaking me the heck out. Don't get me started on Jiminy Cricket, let alone the "It's a Small World After All" theme in the background, so instead I'll start with the character selection and the racetrack. Well, there's not a lot to choose from because most kids wouldn't really know who they are aside from Chip and Dale. You'd have to be watching a lot of Saturday Disney to know who these characters are, and I'm going to generically pick Chip because Indiana Jones. Entering the racing as a prehistoric racetrack based on the movie Dinosaur. Yeah, that movie. That's pretty cool, especially seeing all the dinosaurs staying in their places. Nothing too exciting occurs since the AI is on the easiest difficulty possible, and you have your 4 basic item groups: beans, bacon, whiskey, and lard. I jest. Acorns, teacups, explosions, and frogs. That frog is staring too sweetly into my soul, it hurts. But it doesn't hurt me as much as the droning and annoying sound of the carts as you speed your way through. It's just unrelenting and loud and have a bit of a snippet. There's no music, which is surprising. Well, there is, but very mildly. Yeah, it's very mild. So the movements are light, not to the point of it being floaty, mainly swift turns from left to right. Won't even need to budge the D-pad too much since you'll succeed. There's not really much to say, it's a rather lackluster clone of Mario Kart, and I'd much prefer to play that if I'm honest. Here's an end card that's sort of annoying to read, and apparently it has a story to it. Cool. And there's split screen. Awesome. I'll get all my friends to play it with me. Look, 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 it's Toca, also known as World Touring Cars, and this has been an occurring game just like Gran Turismo, albeit more interesting since we have seen the progression of the game's completion, and for this demo it is 95% complete, which is exciting. The last time I played it, the frame rate chugged a fair amount, and the control wasn't the best, but then again, I couldn't tell if the weather was causing that, or my sheer inability to control any car in general. So let's not dilly-dally and enter into a free race to see how it has all turned out. The track is Hockenheim Ring, which is in Germany, and we have ourselves a sunny day and a sweet Alfa Romeo. So there should be no fault of bad weather or bad car service this time. And lo and behold, I basically suck at the game in general. But that's not gonna stop me from appreciating the improvements. Frame rate is sticking to 25 to 30 frames, the textures are improved, and the animation of the first person perspective is a tiny bit more fluid. Also, I can't get enough of this perspective, it's just too good for its time that I have to commend it. I swear that the difficulty for this demo though is designed to be impossible because I cannot for the life of me get ninth place. No matter how hard I try to keep at it, but I think this is one of the more unappreciated racing games. Well, I definitely enjoyed it more than Magical Racing Tour, that's for sure. And what's not to love when you can enter a pit stop on your final lap? Hopefully we can play the 100% complete demo in the future. And the final demo on our lineup is Tenchu 2, and this was probably the pinnacle of hard difficulty for my young brain to handle, not to forget it was a bit too violent for my liking, even though I played Nightmare Creatures and Alien Trilogy back in that time. Right off the bat, the title menu's music just brings you in, and it's a mesh of symphonic, oriental and rock mesh. It gets even better with the intro cutscene that sets you into the atmosphere of ninjas and assassins. Very basic but to the point. And then you get to your main character.
Toca, your time is at hand.
Yeah, that was a bit too dumb. These are our hints and our goals, let's jump right in. So you have an allotted time to gather all the items you need from your inventory, and then it's time to get used to playing a Tenchu 2. It is a bit complex, and at times rather tank-like, but it's manageable. From memory, I had no clue where to go in this level since the dark draw distance was rather small, which led to the stealth being a challenge. Then again, I rarely use stealth, and after a while of figuring the controls, I of course get caught and result into melee combat, which isn't the major strong suit to require. The swiping sounds are rather loud and obnoxious, but the clash of steel is awesome. It's a brutal game that probably needs a few retries, but just from this single session, I've gotten the hang of it, and I died. Isn't that embarrassing? At least there's a poetic game over for once. Beautiful. And that was PlayStation UK demo number 62, AUS 35, if you really want to know that additional information. And it was a rather hit and miss demo disc if I'm honest, and overall, it was mediocre at best. But since that we've covered like 10 PlayStation demo discs, we are now going to venture forth into the beyond. I will still cover PlayStation 1 demos, but what about PlayStation 2 and the Xbox? Yes, we're going to take a look at those, and they'll be very exciting, and I can give some more insight since, you know, I grew up with all those consoles. And yeah, that about does it. Thank you very much for watching this new demo discussion, and I'll gratefully see you into the next one. Ta-ra!